Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and this video is all about getting your PR in Canada. And you guys had so many questions regarding permanent residency in Canada, वो कैसे मिलती है, what is the procedure, and sometimes these questions are so technical that I might also not know the answers to them, which is why I'm going to consult an immigration specialist and she's going to be answering all of your questions. So let's go and get to know all about Canada PR. Hi Neerja, how are you?
I'm good, Tanya. How are you?
I'm good. So, a lot of my viewers had questions and specifically related to permanent residency in Canada. You are the immigration expert, and I have a few of the most asked questions. So, we'll be discussing about those today.
Sure.
For the viewers, this is Neerja Bhandari, and we have made videos in the past too together. So, for people who are planning to study in Canada, we have a video specifically why should you come to Canada to study. So you can check it out. This video is going to be specifically about permanent residency. Can you in brief talk about the permanent residency procedure in Canada? How exactly do you get PR over here? मतलब पढ़ाई करने से या काम करने से क्या procedure है exactly?
There are more than 150 ways to come to Canada. Work, study are two different formats, or I'll say pathways that people create for themselves to come to Canada. और वो जो उन्होंने अपने लिए पाथवे क्रिएट करा है वो उनको अडेप्टेबिलिटी क्वोशंट बढ़ा देता है उनका. So it is either you come here on point basis of your existing points with work, education, language skills and age. So and with the adaptability quotient it all gets calculated according to that. जब आप वर्क करके आते हो तो दैट मीन्स अगर आप कुक की तरह आए हो, इलेक्ट्रिशियन की तरह आए हो, या आप IT एक्सपर्ट हो, या किसी कंपनी ने आपको यहाँ पे काम के लिए बुलाया है, दीज आर नाउ क्लोज्ड वर्क परमिट्स. पीपल कम हियर एंड दे स्टार्ट वर्किंग हियर फॉर अ कंपनी, और वो कंपनी उनको जॉब ऑफर्स भी देती है. सो वो जॉब ऑफर की उनको अडेप्टेबिलिटी के पॉइंट्स मिलते हैं एंड प्लस कनेडियन 1 year वर्क एक्सपीरियंस. सो दैट मैटर्स. स्टूडेंट्स के लिए इट इज़ 1 step एक्स्ट्रा, क्योंकि जब आप कनेडियन एजुकेशन करते हो तो आपको अगर आप फॉरेन एजुकेशन है तो आपको सिर्फ फॉरेन एजुकेशन के पॉइंट्स मिलते हैं. कनेडियन एजुकेशन के आपको 2 times पॉइंट्स मिलते हैं. वन एज एजुकेशन, सो आई से इफ़ यू आर बैचलर्स फ्रॉम योर होम कंट्री और यहाँ आके आप पोस्ट ग्रेजुएट करते हो तो आपको मोर देन 1 डिग्री डिप्लोमा के पॉइंट्स मिलते हैं, आउट ऑफ विच वन इज़ 3 or more years. आपको वो पॉइंट्स मिले वहाँ पे, लेकिन आपको 15 पॉइंट्स एक्स्ट्रा मिलते हैं इफ़ इट इज़ पोस्ट ग्रेजुएट एजुकेशन फॉर 1 year or 2 years. And if it is 3-year education, you get 30 points. So you're accumulating points towards your immigration process when you come to Canada and study. दोनों तरीके जो हैं they lead towards permanent residency if properly planned and executed.
तो ऐसा कोई ground rule नहीं है कि you have to study in Canada to get permanent residency.
No.
There are a lot of other ways.
There are a lot of other ways. We have clients who have done their masters and PhDs from the home countries, and they have good language scores. They have at least minimum 3 years work experience, not very old. When I say very old, immigration gives you 28 points, full points till the age of 28, and then it keeps decreasing with age, and at the age of 45 you lose all age points. So depending on your age, education, language skills, work experience, you can be in those people who will get picked up in the invitation, and invitation will be given to you.
Okay. So how do you know कि you have enough points to be eligible to apply now? What's the criteria to apply?
So like I said, there are 5 adaptability criteria which immigration has created over the years. The CRS ranking score system, which in very elaborate way tells you how the points are divided and which skill of yours will give you how many points. That is one thing. And then how to add those scores up, there is a CRS ranking tool. So that tool is actually very user friendly. You just have to go on it and start putting your age, whether you're married, whether your spouse is going to come with you, what are your language skills, what is your highest education, and at the end, if okay, make sure that you also, if you have a brother sister in Canada, उनके भी आपको 15 points मिलते हैं. So add up all that and hopefully it works for you. Otherwise there are ways in which you can increase your points, and that's when people usually call me to ask how can we enhance what we already have.
Yeah.
Then after looking at this CRS scoring, we let them know अच्छा आपको अपने language course improve करने हैं.
Okay.
Maybe आप एक MBA का छोटा सा course कर लें इंडिया में. और मेरा favorite है इंदिरा गांधी यूनिवर्सिटी, इंदिरा गांधी ओपन यूनिवर्सिटी, IGNOU, because उनके courses छोटे हैं. They give you diplomas and certificates, and it is also recognized by WES.
Okay.
So that will kind of pick up your education points.
Oh, right.
So we give those little tips to people to enhance their skills.
You mentioned WES, so I also want to ask, what are the documents needed to apply for your permanent residency?
When somebody wants to start with me, I first do their CRS ranking to see how many points they make, and accordingly suggest them the pathway they should select. First, the two documents which I need are the language test results,
Right.
and their credential evaluation, education credential evaluation. Credential evaluation सिर्फ WES नहीं करता. So it is WES, ICAS, IQAS,
Okay.
Toronto University. These are four major partners with immigration.
Okay.
They evaluate your degrees and diplomas to see what is the value of your education
Okay.
as equivalent to Canadian education. So they see that, and that document, I cannot create a profile without that.
Right.
Actually, the profile will not be deemed to be completed without that.
Oh.
And the language test results. बाकी documents लोगों के पास होते हैं, their education documents, work history, their reference letters. Those are not something they depend on other people to do. They generally, they have all of that.
Okay.
Their passport copies, their birth certificates, people have all that.
So
The two documents which are dependent on other agencies are language test results and your credential evaluation.
okay, and you cannot start an application with
No, it will not be complete. And usually if you start a file on the website, it gives you 60 days to complete it.
हमने जब स्टूडेंट के टाइम पे भी एक IELTS एग्जाम दिया होता है, so is that valid for PR?
If you did academic, it is not valid.
Okay, so you need a different IELTS for PR.
You need general testing.
Okay.
Whether you do CELPIP, you do IELTS, you
Right.
need for both those are the only two exams that are eligible.
Okay.
And then TEF for French.
Okay.
So if you're doing those tests, then make sure it is general testing.
That's about filing your PR. And then once everything is good, what happens after that?
Yeah, so you get invited to do your permanent residency. Immigration, depending on different times of the situations happening, they used to give 90 days before, then in between they started giving 60 days. During COVID time, they increased it back to 90 days, and they have again come back to 60 days.
Okay.
So they keep increasing and decreasing the time frame of when to give you the time limit of submitting the applications.
Right.
So those 60 days are to collect your documents and submit the file. First thing that happens is, if you have not done your biometrics before, if you've done it when you were a student,
Yeah.
then it has a validity of 10 years.
Okay.
And if you had not done it, then you will get a biometric
Okay.
request. But then a lot of students and workers who come to Canada have applied after having work experience in Canada. It is important to at that stage to see कि मेरे client का उसका status तो नहीं expire हो रहा.
Okay.
So after getting AOR, which is called acknowledgement of receipt, at that stage, the first thing is to check whether my client needs to the status update or not.
Okay.
And that is where bridging work permits need to be done, because to maintain their status as a worker in Canada till the PR process is complete.
What exactly is this bridging work permit and who needs it?
So bridging work permit, as it is called, it is bridging the gap between your being currently a worker
Yeah.
to becoming a permanent resident. So now by the time they submitted their application, they maybe have just 3 months or 4 months left on their work permits. But they have a job and they don't want to, and they should not leave Canada if they have submitted their permanent residency application. So it was, I think, about 5 years back that immigration came up with the policy that workers who are in Canada and have applied for your permanent residence can apply for bridging work permit.
Okay.
So it gives them an open work permit to keep working in Canada in their jobs while their permanent residency is in process.
So another thing that I've heard a lot about is PNP.
PNP is short form for Provincial Nominee Programs. which जो Canadian provinces हैं, and we have beautiful provinces, but just for the weather conditions and because of the low population, a lot of provinces do not have big communities. So provincial nominee programs would basically developed by provinces with affiliation with the federal government for more population, more economic growth in those provinces. So generally, provincial nominee programs are a little lighter than the federal program. So their skill, the requirement to become a provincial nominee is usually lower threshold than the federal one. And if you get selected and nominated by a province, you get 600 points. So that's like a big win. You might just have 100 some points otherwise because your age wise not that great. Maybe your language skills are not good. So those people, if they are nominated by the province, and the provincial programs are usually 90% of them are employer based. That if you have been invited by an employer, employer is supporting you to work in that community. Employers are giving you job offers. Those are the kind of provincial nominee programs that usually happen. But then there are also programs which do not need employer support, where it is demand skills. That if there is a demand of certain skills, then that province usually takes out that list of people that if you have those certain skills, you can show your, you can fill up the interest form, and once you have shown your intent to reside there, you could be invited. All the provinces have their own website, and they all have their interest to sponsor forms. And the provinces usually do a selection pool, just like federal application. You are invited to apply for that. Once you have been approved, here's the provincial nominee certificate. Use this to apply for your federal immigration process. So it becomes one of the supporting documents of your federal application, and that is then checked by your port of entry, and then you're given PR. Usually provinces expect you to stay there for at least 2 years. And I think वो भी strategically mind play है, क्योंकि कहीं आप अगर 2 साल रह लेते हो, so that becomes home. And then usually people have stayed there.
This sounds really interesting. It sounds easy too. But I've heard that these processes take a lot of time. So how long is the permanent residency procedure? And कितने साल लग जाते हैं किसी को PR लेने में?
I'll say, like I'm saying, good times. Good times I'm saying before COVID. Applications for express entry took 6 months. And after getting provincial nominee approval, federal application, which were paper-based, took 1.5 years. Paper-based applications. So in today's time, I'm seeing express entry is not happening for the foreign nationals. It's just for Canadian experience class holders. People who are already in Canada. Because of the travel bans, immigration has shifted its whole criteria to the Canadian experience class. And in Canada, people are getting the PR in 2 months, 1.5 months. So they are working on the files they have in hand in Canada, because it's easy to do e-landing at this time. When express entry goes back to the foreign skilled worker programs, I think it will go back not to 6 months but a year. And that is why immigration tells you not to leave your job till you get your PR. Because just because you've applied to Canada, don't start making plans as of yet. Keep doing whatever you're doing in your life till you step in the next boat, which is a smart thing also.
Now that we're talking about the FSW draws, there are a lot of people who have this question that should they just do maybe their masters in India, get enough work experience, gain all of their points, and then apply for the pool to get direct entry into Canada, or they should take the route where they come here as a student, which is easier?
This is a personal choice. Okay, you want to wait there in the home country, in the comfort of your homes, jobs, and the security of being in the known place, or just come here. People are now more applying for more and more study visas because of the same reason that the other visas are stopped, but they are promoting international students to come from wherever they are in the world. So a lot of people are doing, and maybe that has become a reason for more refusals in study visas. Make a proper strategy when you're coming to Canada.
FSW people should not really lose hope at this
No,
point, right? It will, like, in your opinion, आएंगे draws.
Actually, what I see, it should start in January.
Now talking about the whole PR procedure, how expensive is it and overall कितना खर्चा हो जाता है इस पूरे procedure में?
So if you're just talking about permanent residents, not student, not worker, so let me tell you first of all that depending on your family size, पहले तो आपको settlement funds दिखाने होते हैं.
Okay.
It is one of the requirements
Yeah.
for coming to Canada. Because आप Canada आओगे as skilled worker, so आपको दिखाना पड़ता है कि आपके पास enough money है. So depending on your family size, start with about $25,000 to $30,000 Canadian.
Okay.
You have to show those. It is essential to show that. Depending how much you're doing your process yourself or from a consultant. So we'll keep that fee apart.
Yeah.
All consultants, lawyers, they have their own set of fees that they charge. Uske baad you have the expenses of getting language test results. You have the expense of getting your credential evaluation done, biometrics, medicals. So these are all your costs.
Correct.
And immigration fees. Recently they made it $830 for economic class.
Okay.
And landing fee is $500 per person.
Okay.
Above the age of 18. For children it is usually $150 flat fee.
Okay.
They don't have to pay the landing fee.
Right. So how much money should a person set aside if they're planning for permanent residency? Just a rough estimate.
So if it's just a single person, I'll say about $30,000 to $35,000.
Okay, dollars. Right. Okay. So
because they have to show it.
Right. So proof of funds दिखानी
Proof of funds.
पड़ते हैं.
Because immigration is expecting that at least when you come to Canada, you should have enough money
Correct.
to take care of yourself for the
Right.
first 6 months. These funds are not required by Canadian experience class holders.
Right.
Canadian experience class is already working in
Because
Canada.
they're
They are
already
living in their homes, in rental homes,
Yeah.
where they're already residing in Canada, so they do not need to prove
Yeah.
settlement funds. So they'll only be paying their immigration fee, biometrics,
Right.
and other fees.
Now, what is the procedure for maybe spousal visas or family visa, PR? How does it happen?
So if you're coming to Canada as a permanent resident, when you file for your permanent resident, you can bring your spouse and your dependent children with you.
Okay.
They are part of your permanent residence file.
Okay.
Until unless you were not married at the time of your permanent residence, then you sponsor your spouse after you become permanent resident in family class. There are times when you apply for your permanent resident, maybe you're not married now, but
Yeah.
maybe during the next 6 months if you get married, then your spouse can be added on your existing file.
Okay. Right.
But keep it in mind that you might lose points for that. Yeah.
And what about your parents? Do they get permanent residency or is it a visa for them?
Immigration is very clear in their methodology
Yeah.
and their definitions of what is family.
Mhm.
So according to immigration, you are part of your parents' family, but they are not part of your family.
Hmm.
The minute you are above the age of 22
Yeah.
and you have your own husband or a wife, you have your spouse, your children, they are your family.
Right.
Your parents are your parents.
Okay.
So then you have to bring them under the family class, parents, grandparents applications. That's how you bring them as permanent resident.
Mhm.
But immigration has been generous over the years, and we have super visa,
Mhm.
where if you meet the income criteria, you can bring your parents to live in Canada under super visa
Mhm.
uh, for up to 2 years.
Mhm.
They can live here as far as they have bought their medical insurance
Correct.
and you are supporting them and you meet the income criteria. Otherwise, visitor visas are always there.
Okay.
So families come here all the time to visit
Yeah.
their children.
So my last question would be, for all of us who have been keeping a tab on the CRS draws, I have noticed that since September there have not been any Canadian experience class draws.
Yes.
So what do people who are waiting for these draws and who maybe have their work permits expiring soon do? Should they like keep waiting? Should they do something else? Apply for some other stream? What can they do?
So I know at this time a lot of students, workers are going back on study visas
Mhm.
just to maintain their status.
Oh.
Some of them are going to, but then that's a lot of other expense. You'll
Yeah.
be paying college fees and all.
Yeah.
A lot of them are extending the stay as a visitor.
Mhm.
Um, There is a simple option that once you have completed your experience and you see that the draw did not happen, it's okay to go back home in a timely fashion,
Yeah.
because you still qualify under Canadian experience class.
Correct.
Because if your Canadian experience is valid till 3 years, so if you gain that experience within last 3 years of applying
Yeah.
for the application, you will still be picked up under Canadian experience class, because this is the first time that Canadian experience draw has not happened for
Right.
at least 3 months now.
Correct.
The draw should start happening in January, hopefully. The students who are there, they will get qualified.
So meanwhile, people should just hang tight and hope that
Yeah.
things come through. That answers most of my questions that I had. Thank you so much, Neerja, for helping me and the viewers know so much about permanent residency. And guys, if you have any more questions, if you have any more specific doubts, then I'm going to list down Neerja and Swift Immigration's details in the description. So you can definitely get help from her and she'll be able to help you more personally about your doubts. So that was it for today's video, guys. And thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye.